Greetings, greetings. Please give me a moment just to get reset up here. Allow my Blog Talk Radio to continue to play through. Um, and I will be forward momentarily. All is indeed a blessing. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Greetings, greetings, peace and love, joy and prosperity. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Give me a moment to get my Blog Talk Radio and my YouTube Live together. All is a blessing. Feel free to call in on my Blog Talk Radio phone line.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Greetings. Welcome, welcome. Peace and love, joy and prosperity. Welcome, welcome. Diane Cameron Elam. Diane Cameron Elam. Come back home to Africa. Thank you so much, beloved. I don't know what's going on here. Divine, all blessed, peace and love, joy and prosperity, elevation, revelations, and manifestation. You are now listening live to the Divine Prince, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor, El Lagoon, Oloye, Hoodoo, Obeya, Bokur, sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan-African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective. Understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is my constant prayer, my mantra, affirmation, reverberation, reiteration, and it is my ever-living reality. It is crucial to the very foundation of my inner standing, my teaching, my walk, and my works along this divine, all-blessed life path and journey. It is how I, the Divine Prince, make sense out of all that we're challenged with here in our daily existence on Mother, Father, Earth, and it is my personal place of power and inner standing, the place from where I begin, the place from where I realize and crystallize all my endeavors, understanding that I and I alone create and co-create my divine destiny, and I alone create and co-create my divine, all-blessed reality. And so it is. Ashe, Asheo, and Ashe. Today is Friday, March 27, 2020, and I am emanating and vibrating with you and for you live, virtually, verbally, cosmically, quantum universally from this working temple of the House of the Divine Prince. Thai Potions, Hoodoo Central LLC, in this beautiful, historic, and legendary city of New Orleans, Louisiana. the land of my ancestors and those who came before me along this spiritualist hoodoo Obeah life path and journey, passing down the great Obeah stick along with the knowledge of the healing, life-giving herbs, roots, minerals, rituals, spirits. This is indeed the legacy, the culture, and tradition of voodoo. And I am certainly honored and truly grateful for your continued support, your continued participation here in this live broadcast. I am broadcasting live on both Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com / the hyphen divine hyphen prince, and also at youtube.com / voodoo tie, VOODOOTYE. My live listen in and call in number is area code 347 215 8967. 347 215 8967. Do press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. I will unmute your mic and I will be more than happy to bring you into the conversation. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Kiona, I see you, but give me a moment here. Okay, I see. Hoodoo occultism. That's a great move. I assure you that you won't regret having done it. It's the gift that indeed keeps on giving. The DNA tests aren't sort of a one-time. You tear the packaging open, and you receive your gift. It's an ongoing gift, and as people continue to contribute copies, DNA copies to the system, your results will continue to be more specific and more refined. So those of you who've taken a test and you aren't checking into your account periodically, at least once a month or so, you may very well have new information in your ancestry.com or in your 23andMe that you might not even be aware of. One of the changes that I'm noticing hoodoo occultism is the differences as it relates to indigenous American. Sometimes we say Native American, if you will, and that has indeed changed over time. The availability of information and copies has allowed them to be a little bit more regionally specific about those of us with indigenous bloodlines here in the West, here in North and South America, North, Central, and South America. But it also refines all of your results, your European results, your Asian results, your African results, your Australian results. They're all refined over time as each person, each group of people submits DNA. They also are able to collect DNA from other sources that also play into our results. This is why we're able to know those of us who have that Kemetic, ancient Egyptian connection and bloodline because of the ability to draw that DNA material from other sources than just living blood. So absolutely, I think you've done yourself and even your family a service. I know when I first took my test, I think that was 2007, after Hurricane Katrina, when I took my first Ancestry.com was the first test that I took. And no one really cared. No one was particularly interested. Not in my family or even within the confines of this circle to some degree. And then as the results came in and more people began to participate, things began to change and people's curiosity was piqued and the available of information that was coming through gave people another motivation for wanting to do that work and to look into their backgrounds in that way. And then the competition war began, and so 23andMe came, and several other sites that I don't readily call off when I'm on this show. One, because I have not personally participated in these other tests. And two, I'm still learning about those other DNA formulas from my clients and godchildren and friends and family who have taken some of the newer tests. And each test offers different information, hoodoo occultism. If you don't already know, you might ask, well, why are there? Um, Thank you for alerting me about Blog Talk Radio. Ah, forgive me, Blog Talk Radio. Can you hear me now? Please forgive me. You've sat through 12 minutes of silence, Blog Talk Radio, and I do apologize. Can you hear me now, Kiona? I'm using Skype, and Skype is different than most devices in that when I dial into Blog Talk Radio using Skype, it's automatically muted. So if I don't remember to unmute Skype, then I'm not being heard. You don't have to unmute yourself on Blog Talk Radio. You're automatically open when you start Blog Talk Radio. But Skype, for some reason, mutes me when I go into the Blog Talk Radio platform. So if I don't remember to unmute myself or someone doesn't alert me to it, I might forget. So Kiona, if you can hear me now, um, respond to me back in the chat. My desktop chat moves a little bit slower than my mobile chat, but you should be able to hear me now. Things should be clear now. Um, but hoodoo occultism, these different tests absolutely offer, draw from the same authentic DNA. Absolutely. But they are designed to sort of focus in on certain aspects of your DNA. One of the components to 23andMe, which I still have not adjusted to or directly participated in, is all the biological, health oriented aspects to the 23andMe test. I appreciate the history and the archaeology and the Neanderthal story and the human story, but I have not yet um, found value or embraced in its totality the health component to the 23andMe test. Um, though I have both tests, 23andMe and Ancestry.com, and I like to compare the results um, from one test to the other in order to get a clear scientific platform in which to move from. So I strongly suggest both tests, one or the other, if you're having to start with one. But more than one gives you a little bit more information. And then once you get into these tests, you then have to learn how to use them, how to apply that information. I was explaining to someone yesterday that you often get a great deal of geographical locations, regional locations on these tests. But then you have to consider history in timing and where a particular group of people, ethnic group, would have been in any particular place and time in that region. So there's that extra element that has to be added to your study, and that's why I offer the ancestral work and divination, because I've spent the last 12 years, dozen or more years or so, looking at it, applying it, researching it, studying it, experimenting with it. And I like to apply a shortcut, if you will, for you, so that you don't have to do quite as much work as I have, or you can refine your work, your search, more specifically without having to do a lot of the background work that I had to do coming into making sense of the DNA results. And the sites that offer these tests have a great deal of information about, what DNA is, how DNA works, how to decipher and make sense and understand, your results. And in most cases, some of us receive a package in the mail and we tear it open and we get right into it. Others take that time to really look at the packaging and the wording and the text and make sense of how to utilize that product. So that's why I offer that ancestral work and divination. Divination is just that, your ancestors speaking through, coming through sacred divination, giving instruction and information on how to set up your altars, how to set up your shrines, what their motivation might be, what their emphasis for you might be in any particular place and time. But the work helps us to do the research, be more specific about ethnic groups, tribes, lineages, bloodlines, particular people in your family that stand up, that speak, that push forward. Because all Eguns don't speak. Some have to be replenished. Some have to be retired. Some move on to Orun, move on to heaven, and don't necessarily have a whole lot of direct earthly involvement. But then there are those who commit to assisting us, want to help and assist us. And then there are those who have unfinished work, who are trapped or moment interruption with my YouTube live. I'm signing back in. You should be able to see me now. We buffered momentarily on both the desktop and the mobile. So you should be able to see me clearly and hear me clearly now. Greetings, Kayla. Thank you for being a regular user, a regular participant of the show. I most certainly do appreciate you and your questions. Books for dream interpretation and symbolism. I like that question. I don't know, in my early surface, and I like to describe it as one unique language in which we communicate with God and with spirit. Evangelicals talk about speaking in tongue, and there's some authenticity to that when it's demonstrated appropriately. But we all have a unique symbolism, a unique language in which the divine creators communicate with us, in which the spirit realm speaks to us. You know what I'm getting ready to say next. You got to journal. You have to journal. You journal to see the patterns that manifest, Kayla, in the dreams. You journal to make sense of the language that is being spoken to you in your dream content. And then now that you have it in a physical form, now that you can see it and can compare it, you can now compare it to real-time symbolism, real-time language, real-time messages that spirit conveys to us in our waking state, in our conscious state, and then match those two things together. For instance, here in the South, we say, well, I dream about fish, somebody pregnant, but you might be allergic to fish. You may have drowned in this life or in a past life. You might have a very different response to fish and water than the next individual. So I don't necessarily trust dream interpretation books. Dream symbolism is a little bit different. If the author is cognizant truly about universal symbolism, nature, earth, water, fire, air, ether, if they understand the quantum metaphysical symbolism behind sun, behind moon, behind a particular planetary symbol or that planet's movement, then that information might be useful, might be want to note about that symbolism that you would do better to study The Secret Teachings of the Ages, for instance, by Manly P. Hall, which is going to give you quantum metaphysical symbolism, spiritual symbolism, cultural symbolism, Masonic symbolism, and then that's universal. And then you can apply that individualistically to you, specifically to you, or to the dream, the individual of whom's dreams are being interpreted. So I'm never want to throw out book authors and book names unless generally speaking, when people ask me about books, to read everything. I've read everything and I've read almost everything. It's how you learn what's real and what's not. It's how you learn people's personal writing skill, personal writing character, I should say, or personal writing personality. What motivates a particular author to write a book, to create a book, to share a great deal of information? It would be wonderful if, if that was clearly stated out in that introduction. This is why I wrote this book. This is my motivation for writing this book. How my own personal belief systems play into. Primarily now, please forgive me for, of course, I'm going to break up, I'm going to buffer when I'm saying something that's really important. What I was saying was, I've noticed in the last 2 years, 3 years or so, writers, authors, researchers showing up, particularly in the city of New Orleans, to write about Hoodoo, to write about Voodoo, to write about Marie Laveau, to write about Conjure, primarily with the motivation for disempowering it, disarming it, further giving it a negative or commercial or synthesized character, personality. So you have to check these authors. You have to check these authors who are writing about our tradition. There's an African proverb, I believe, that says, until the lion writes his own story, the lion, I'm not sure exactly verbatim how that quote goes, but the lion will continue to be killed. The lion will continue to be controlled by humanity. The lion will continue to be, controlled by outside forces. And so we can look at ourselves and our culture and our history and our tradition in much the same way, until we start looking within and researching for ourselves and writing for ourselves. The story is often going to be slanted towards those who would want to tell our story, who would want to share our story, who would want to interpret our dreams and our story and our symbolism to mirror or match their own understanding. And some of these book authors are literally just regurgitating what's already out there. And then they find some really curious, creative way to add some color to it, some personality to it, just to avoid, the very, appearance of plagiarism. But there's not much newness out there unless you're really going to the source. And going to the source will often require you to learn and study and read and research in other languages. Yoruba, Fan, Ewe, some of the ancient European and Spanish and Asian texts that are being interpreted through authors and book writers. Many of us dream about Marie Laveau, and I see you say Marie Laveau, the actor, so you mean Angela Bassett. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you all, as Kiona has typed in, for participating and asking questions and for being an active part of the show. I also invite you to be on the phone lines at 845-277-9143. 845-277-9143. Often when YouTube is buffering, Blog Talk Radio is not. And so you can hear clearly and consistently without interruption, often with Blog Talk Radio, unless there's a technical glitch there. You can often hear. So mute your YouTube as Kiona has done, and you can call in at 845-277-9143. And here, still hear the show. There might be a little bit of a delay, a few seconds of delay, but you can also press the number 1 on your telephone keypad and actively ask your questions and participate as well in the show. In the ritual calendar of things, in the ritual cycles of things, today we acknowledge thunder and lightning. We acknowledge wind. We acknowledge torrential rain and storm. We acknowledge sudden change and transformation. Those things that come out of the blue. Those things that often come without warning. Those things that often come without prediction. Those things that often don't show up right away in our intuition, in our forethought. We acknowledge that power and that spirit for its ability to heal, for its ability to change for our betterment. We don't fear Oya, we don't fear Shango, we don't fear the weather, but we learn to live within it, to exist within it, to prepare for it, to surrender ourselves to it, so that we might live and we might survive, so that we might be another day. And I have been saying, and I have been posting, and I have been sharing, practice physical distancing, not spiritual and social distancing. I've been saying love my New Orleans. I've been saying be neighborly, be hopeful, be creative, be calm, be kind, be well, be safe, be happy, be patient, be loved, be careful, be proactive, be available, be peace, and stay home. And by all means, respect the voodoo. And it's interesting to me how many people can't receive that, won't receive that. One of my favorite media outlets went through in Facebook earlier today and acknowledged everyone in the chat except me. Everyone except me. And so I won't be promoting you anymore, by the way. But also, it just goes to show how someone asked on yesterday about being careful about protecting our energy. I think it was Takia Jet, and if I'm incorrect, forgive me. It may have been Kayla, I'm not sure. Yeah, it might have been Kayla who asked about protecting our sacred space, protecting our energies from others, and particularly right now during this time. And people are going to get bored with the news. People are going to get bored with updates. People are going to get bored with well wishes and be safe and be clean. And people are going to settle into their feelings. People are going to settle into their emotions. And where your feelings are, where your emotions are going to mirror where you are spiritually. Before this event happened, before the virus, it's going to mirror truly and authentically where you are. If you're weak spiritually, it's going to show up now. If you're not standing on anything, it's going to show up now. There's not enough junk food you can store in your house to fill that space. There's not enough dominoes and card playing. There's not enough video games you can do to fill the amount of time that we're being asked right now by the universe, by this virus, to sit and be patient. So you will be tested. Some of you are already being tested. Some of you already don't know what to do with yourself, what to do with your time, what to do with your energy. And so we must be vigilant. People will begin to get negative. People will begin to get in their feelings. People will begin to stand up in their truth, whatever and wherever your truth authentically is. And it's in times like this that we're most tested. Military personnel, police officers, EMS are tested in the military, in that system of coming in. And some of you know that I was in the Army. I enlisted in my past life in the Army. And a part of that basic training is designed to break you down. Not to break you down, but to break down ego, to break down your personalized sense of self, your personalized sense of what do I do, how do I respond, how do I act, in order to get you to sort of coalesce with the group, learn the way the group does things, and then operate as a machine of many parts, but with a like mind, operating sort of in unison. Initiation, the amount of time that one, I have to be careful now because if I start throwing out certain words, some of y'all gonna pretend like you've actually done this. But there's a process in initiation. There is an isolation in initiation. There is a separation in initiation. Sometimes you're not allowed to stand. Sometimes you're not allowed to sit. Sometimes you're not allowed to do some most basic things in order to put you in not in a place of distress or duress, but again, just like the military, to get you to sort of reduce your own sense of what you think you know, what you think you understand, to put you in a position of vulnerability so that you're vulnerable enough to receive what you're being gifted, what you're being taught, what you're being instructed into. And sometimes humans don't work well without fear. Some of y'all wasn't washing your hands before. Uh, Corey Aber, a local weather TV personality here in the city of New Orleans and in the state of Louisiana, on WDSU TV, Channel 6, who never ignores me in social media, I might add, was sharing how he had been in the restroom and had seen more men washing their washing their hands than he had ever seen before. Forgive me, Blog Talk Radio. You don't see me, but I got the hiccups, and so the tape is not skipping. I keep stopping to stop the hiccups. Um, he had never seen so many men washing their hands before. So fear is a powerful tool. Fear is a powerful tool. We fear mama. Sometimes we fear daddy. We fear grandma. We fear fire. So we don't touch it. We learn not to play with it. We fear gas. So we don't play around with it. We give it its due space and we give it its due respect and we give it its due protocol. But humanity and man, modern man, Western man, fears nothing, and particularly God, particularly religion, particularly spirit. And that is birthed out of lack of belief. Lack of belief. Because when you see something, when you feel something, when you experience something in real time, it leaves an imprint on you. It leaves a footprint on you. You've heard me say before, I am not a right brain reader. I am not flowers and glitter and all is a blessing and it's all feel good and there's no reality. There's no reality check. There's no logic. I am a left brain reader. I am an all is a blessed reader because I've seen it. Because I've seen it manifest. Because I've lived it. Because I've experienced it. Because I've had it happen to me. Because I've done my ritual consistently and gotten a consistent result. Because I've taught the ritual to someone else and gotten a consistent result. I'm not a right brain reader. I'm not a right brain person, as a matter of fact. Though I am an artist, though I am creative, but I'm very practical, very logical. It has to make sense to me. It has to be applicable to me. It has to be repeatable and doable to me. Or I'm more likely to move on to the next thing. And so we live in a day and a time where we don't fear anything. And some of you are quick to say that. I don't fear no man and I fear nothing. and nobody. And it has everything to do with experience. With experience. And experience should become knowledge, should become information, should become wisdom in due time. And so that takes time. That takes season. We don't pop out the womb with that level of information. We don't pop out of school at the 12th grade with that degree of experience. We don't graduate college, with a head full of knowledge, but not with a heart full of experience in the career or the knowledge field that you particularly chosen to explore and to go into. And your hope is that you're prepared, that your training, your initiation, your study has given you everything you need to move forward. And so that's why readers getting readings willy-nilly and regularly and frequently from other readers is odd to me. Odd to me. You hit a block, you hit a crossroads. Absolutely, you seek your elders, you seek your teachers, you seek those who are more evolved than you. I'm talking about the 20-year-old reader that's getting readings from the 21-year-old reader, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, 5 times a week. You're just entertaining yourself and interrupting and disrupting your energy at the same time. The shortcut, y'all want to hear a secret? The shortcut is a straight line. My mathematicians understand that. The shortest destination to anything is a straight line. I'm like to confront. I'm a confrontist. I like to go through. My fear will push me through, not over, not around, through, through. If I have fear, I'm going to confront you. If I have a fear of a person, place, or thing, I'm going to confront that person, place, or thing. I want detail. I want information. I want knowledge. I want authenticity. I want truth. The shortcut is a straight line. That's the shortcut. That's the shortcut. And I can't tell you how many times students, godchildren, former clients, and they jump out there in the fray. They start offering services, charging for services, taking on all these clients. As I suggested to you yesterday, you're also taking on their energy. And then they find out just how immature they are spiritually in this. And many of them come back to me. Some of them come back apologetic. Some of them come back ready to do the work. Some of them just come back and just remain still. So I appreciate your questions. I appreciate your comments. Hoodoo occultism, please forgive me. I get to talking and I have to move between tabs. So I'm at the Blog Talk Radio right now. Press the number 1 on your telephone keypad if you have a question or a comment, and I'll open your mic. There's several people sitting on the phone lines right now at 845-277-9143. Kiona is the only phone number that I've memorized, so I don't recognize any of the other numbers. So anyone who's on the phone lines who has a question, comment, or request, you need to press the number 1 on your telephone keypad, and then I'll open your mic and bring you into the conversation. If there's more than one person waiting with the question or comment with the same area code as you, I'm going to say the area code and the first 3 numbers of your extension. Area code 318. Who's calling and where are you calling from, beloved?
I'm calling from, I'm in Beaumont, Texas right now, but I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. But I'm originally Supreme Divinity, but I changed my name to Voodoo occultism.
Okay,
and
great.
I just want to say, hey, thanks for everything that you give me. I really love your show. Really been following you for a while, but I had to get on the right track.
I appreciate you. I absolutely do. Thank you for calling in and sharing your comment and your opinion. I greatly appreciate that. Now, beloved, if you don't mind, I have to get in your business just a little bit because I heard you say, you from
Okay.
one location, but you in another location. Are you traveling right now?
Yeah, I'm traveling.
Is that for work or is that
You
personal?
can hear a lot of background. I'm
Yes.
at work. You can hear a lot of background noise.
Okay. No, not a lot, just a little. I'm just curious about you moving
Yeah.
around. I'm just curious about your moving around right now in terms of what's happening.
Yeah, they still have us working. I'm still at work. Um, but I'm glad I'm really at work because I have to get a chance to save up for uh, to become a student, a potential student after I get my reading stuff like that. So
And now,
I
are
feel
you a
like I'm protected.
are you a truck driver?
Yeah.
Well, we certainly appreciate you and our truck drivers because the way they're cleaning out the shelves of all the milk and the peanut butter and the toilet paper. We would be up the creek if it weren't for you and people like you. So I'm really honored, not only that you are a listener and a participant and a student of mine, but that you are out there doing the work. I just pray that you be careful, that you're wiping everything off, that you're not pumping your gas, without putting on some kind of gloves, or wiping your hands down, with some Clorox wipes or something. We want you to be careful, beloved.
Uh, yeah, I'll be real careful. And for anyone out there that can't find disinfectant, you can go, like, people don't understand that you can go get essential oil and put it in a spray bottle and put some vinegar, put some in there, and just drop like 10 drops of essential oil in there and have a disinfectant there. And you can use your Florida water as a disinfectant and drop essential oil in it as well.
Your Florida water, vinegar, ammonia, bleach, you know, there's absolutely products that's available that we can use to keep ourselves safe. Absolutely, beloved.
Yeah, yeah. Now the particular job in trucking that I do is I work for the drainage company, and right now we are working on the drain because the sea levels are up a little bit. Uh, the ocean levels are up a little bit, so we clear out the ditches so it won't flood in the city.
And you do that like outside the city and like the unincorporated areas, or you do it everywhere?
I just know I do it in this particular city in Beaumont, Texas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, we absolutely need that.
Yeah.
We had the Mississippi River here in New Orleans, which is rising again, by the way. I think it's somewhere over 15 and a half feet or so. And so I understand very distinctly what you mean because that's a common ongoing issue here in the city. We're also having a problem right now with people because of the lack of toilet paper. People are flushing wipes, industrial wipes, large size wipes, paper towels. I even heard one person suggest that they were using coffee filters, to wipe their ass, and they're
Yeah.
flushing that, and that's creating a problem for the cities and our municipalities because it's backing up the sewer system.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I work in for the drainage company, and yes, we see the white. we see the white. We see everything. It like it that will cause more flooding in the future. So for anybody out there that lives in Louisiana and the lower part of the country, please don't do that because it will flood. As soon as it starts raining and it don't stop in the summer, if it rains for a long time, it's so much easier to get flooded out if you have your drains clogged.
That's right. It really is. And it affects, not just, water, of course, coming in where it shouldn't be, but it erodes foundations. It damages your house and your building from the ground up when this happens. We applaud you. Um, our hats are off to you for the service that you provide for us, and for the municipality there in which you're working in right now. If you have a question or comment, again, just come on back in with me. You can mute yourself, and that will sort of keep us from getting any of your background noise. And when you're ready to ask another question or come on back, just jump right on back in. I want to respond.
I'm ready to ask a question now.
Go ahead, beloved. And then I'm going to answer my
Okay.
sister Wapani in the chat. Go ahead.
Okay. My question is what can a student do for you to be the best teacher you can be to them?
They've got to be willing, and somewhat to what I described in terms of what initiation is. You have to be willing to suspend what you think that you know. Many people are reading these books, these commercial books, these for entertainment books about hoodoo, root work, conjure, voodoo, obia, and it's just not correct information. Many of you are operating on a 7-day Orisha cycle, which is not real. It's a product of botanicas. It's a product of commercialism. It's a product of people setting up retail establishments and selling products that need to leave the shelf. And so that's why we believe there's a 7-day ritual cycle for Orisha, when in reality, in both Voodoo, Orisha, West African systems, it's a 4-day moon cycle in which we operate from. So I need people to be open, to be willing, to be honest. I can't tell you, beloved, how many people come to me and who are just not honest about what they know, what they've studied, what degree of initiations or training that they've really received or not received, and it always reveals itself at some point or another. It always reveals itself. So I just need people to be honest, to be open, to be willing to learn something new. I can't describe it any better than it's like going to college. You're going to read a lot of books. You're going to do a lot of study. You're going to have examination. You're going to spend time taking on and absorbing this new information. Beloved, I'm going to come right back to you. Let me respond to my sister, one Wapani. Wapani, I kind of addressed that to some degree yesterday, and it's a question that's important enough to be looked at and addressed every day. And that is the idea for my Blog Talk Radio listeners. She asked about staying at home. You have a stay-at-home order now, and you're in a house with people that are not spiritually mature. Kayla asked, I think 2 days ago, about, protecting your space during this time. So these questions all have a similar feel. I think also the commonality of this question, Wapani, right now, speaks to how big of a deal this is. People are really learning new things about your children, about your spouse, about your roommate, about your family members, about the people that you share your apartment complex or your village with. The stay-at-home order puts us all in a position, those of us who share space, to really have to be patient, be open, be mature. Now, I know you a little bit, you, my sister. I know you have a prayer room. I know you have a sacred space. And so for my other listeners, I implore them to, if you can, create a space. If you have enough room to create a room, create a room. If you have a closet, create a closet. If you have to go out into the yard, out onto the balcony, out onto the porch, across the road, off into the trees a little bit. You've got to create a sacred space where you can breathe, where you can chant, where you can re-secure your sanity and your spiritual foundation, even if it's for moments at a time. I suggested locking yourself in the bathroom for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you have to, with your device, with your cell phone, with your calming meditative music, with your bird sounds, with your ocean sounds, or in chanting, repeating oriki, repeating mantra, holding and breathing with your crystals, your minerals, your stones. Um, this is the time. This is the time, Wapani, and we're all being challenged to some degree with that. Now, don't think because I live alone and I don't have roommates or godchildren or initiates in the house, at the moment while we're, sort of doing this hunker in place, this stay at home. I'm still getting the phone calls. I'm still getting the emails. I'm still receiving people's energy empathically 24 hours, day and night. I would say now even more so than usual. You and mom might notice through my short 1 or 2 word responses in chat. You know when I'm busy. I'm just as busy now as if the world was on full swing and things were normal. I'm probably as busy right now as Carnival, as Lundi Gras, as a week leading up to Mardi Gras Day, because people are in their feelings, Wapani. People are in their emotions, and people are in their spirit, no matter where on the chakra scale that is. So people who are in their flesh, people who are stuck in 1, 2, and 3 in terms of chakra points, that's where they're going to operate from right now during this time. Those who are operating in the 4th chakra are going to operate from the heart. And that has its pros and its cons. That has its negatives and its positives. So take a long bath. Take a cleansing bath. Take a rosemary tea bath. Take a mint bath. Burn some sage. And yes, they're going to sabotage. They might make comments about what you're burning. They might want to interrupt while you're sitting still, while you're being quiet. They may not like, the music that you're playing. And sometimes this is the case in our work environments, particularly for those of you who share an office, share a workspace, have to deal with other people. There might be shared music, or you all might have your individual music, but people have their issues, their preferences, their stuff, that they bring to the table. And so this hunker in place, this stay at home, gives us that opportunity to really see and test that at every level. I saw a post a few days back about a woman who was now occupying the spare bedroom, which she had not done before in her marriage, because she realized that her and her husband are not socially compatible, spiritually compatible. And let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Anyone, I'm not referring to my sister or her marriage, anyone. You're going to experience a little bit of stress right now. You might get bored with each other right now. You might get irritated with each other right now. And understand, as I described yesterday, some of that energy is coming from the news, is coming from the air, is coming from other people's empathic, energetic projections about sort of where they are in this present moment in time space. And so that can create friction in that shared space. You might be feeling something, or other members of the household might feel something that they can't put into words, that they can't express, that they can't sing, that they can't write out in a journal, that they can't write out in poetry, that they can't, work out in the garden. And so you hold that, and you hold that, and you hold that. And after 14 days of stay at home, that has to come out at some point. That has to surface at some point. Establish a time where you all just sit together and share that and talk about the changes you all are having to adjust to now. And I know some of you are dealing with children, some of you are dealing with people with mental health challenges, learning disabilities, who aren't quite understanding what's happening. Your pets aren't quite understanding what's happening. And so you have to now, beloved, now, Wapani, pull out your spiritual war chest. Indeed. I'm being very careful about negative words, some of the warlike words we used earlier on in the show. Uh, but indeed, this is a spiritual battle as well as a virus based one, a biological one, a bacterial one. And so we now have to utilize our best weapons. We now have to polish off our best spiritual skills. I said earlier in the show, I don't know if you were here, Wapani, that we're all being tested right now. Now is the time to really see what you're made of, where you are in your spirit journey. Each and every one of us, each and every one of us, where you really are in your state of consciousness, where you really are in your state of love and peace. Because some of you are love and peace, at least in social media anyway, all the time. But that's going to be tested now. That's going to be tested. I'm grateful that you do have my nephew there, your son Chris, to sort of help you and to assist you in creating that and to run a little bit of interference, if you will, so that you can have a moment, so that you can catch a break. I appreciate that you sort of live in a rural area. You can get out, even if it's your driveway. Make laps. Get on the bike and make laps. I'm having to do that on my block. I'm doing that in the house. I'm probably exercising now more than I do in a normal season. Not just because I want to keep my body moving and not be in this throne chair all day, but also to keep your spirit moving. Your physicality is crucial to your spirituality. And so, what you're eating, how much water you're getting, how much fruits and vegetables you're getting, how much rest you're getting, how much exercise you're getting also plays into right now, Wapani, how we handle, how we process, how we discharge the energy associated with COVID 19. So, don't let it break you down. By all means, call me. Text me if you have to, just not right now live during the show. But call me, text me. I'm here for you. I'm with you, as I am for everybody right now, friends, family, clients. And that's why my schedule now is more busy than ever. I'm on, and I can only do so much sleep. Normally, I can only do so much sleep. And they say as you get older, your body requires less sleep. So I can sleep 4 hours, 5 hours, get back up, get right back into the work, get right back into the service. And so that's what I'm doing. So some of you see, my social media light come on at all hours of the day or night. I'm busy. I'm busy handling the work of voodoo, handling the work of spirit, handling the work of ministry. I certainly appreciate your questions, your comments, your requests. I ask you, please, to type your questions or comments in all capital letters, um, so that I can see them and distinguish them from the other general conversation that's happening in the chat. I also appreciate you calling in to area code 845 277 9143 845 277 9143. You are welcome to listen, but I also invite you to participate, to press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. This virtually raises your hand for me and then I will unmute your mic and bring you into the conversation where we all can hear you. Give me a moment. I'm trying to respond to a message. I also get people direct messaging me, instant messaging me, Instagramming me, Facebooking me while the show is going on, using the YouTube community. I think I introduced to some of you for the first time your community tab on YouTube. Some of you have not played around with your YouTube account. Some of you haven't really looked into your YouTube account. Some of you listen to me every day and have never followed me. Why? Some of you listen to me every day and have never clicked the thumbs up or a thumbs down. Why? Why? I don't get that. But in your YouTube um, profile, just like any other social media platform, in your YouTube account, your main profile, whatever that is, first you're able to personalize your URL. So you can create a youtube.com/, like I have. My YouTube is Voodoo Thai, V like Victor, OO, D like David, OO, T like Tom, YE, Voodoo Thai. And that's how many of you visit me each and every day. But you too can create a personalized URL. You have a home tab, you have a videos tab, you have your playlist tab, but you also have a community tab, and that's sort of like your YouTube social media blog space. It is in that space that you can post videos, post pictures, make comments, post links as you would on your Facebook or your Twitter or your LinkedIn, but it's in your YouTube platform. I invite you to visit my community page in the YouTube. I try to post interesting posts. My most recent one is the post about Charlemagne the God. Shout out to the Breakfast Club again, Charlemagne the God, and Big Frida. Charlemagne the God asked Big Frida about roots and hoodoo and conjure, and sort of motivated her to speak out loud for the first time on record about the reading and divination that I gave Big Frida during the reality TV show Big Frida Bounces Back. Big Frida Queen of Bounce that we filmed and has since aired maybe 3 years back. If you didn't see it, if you missed it's not running in reruns right now. You can get clips of it, I believe, on my YouTube page. I have the audio and video file from the YouTube channel for the Breakfast Club of Charlemagne the God, Big Frida, discussing the reading, some of the most pertinent and important details of the reading, and the prediction that I made and how that prediction manifests. It is for that reason that I feel that people still, till this day, fear the voodoo. Even if you can educate yourself and get beyond the idea of cursing and negative witchcraft and people sort of blocking and doing things to manipulate and control others, some are still not ready to handle that level of authenticity and truth. And so I still get a lot of bias, I still a lot of prejudice. I was referencing that just a little bit earlier in the show. Everybody's peace and love in the chat except me. Everybody's acknowledged in the chat except me. You know, people are on my social media every day, read my posts every day, don't follow, don't like, don't share, and primarily out of fear. Primarily out of fear. And I want to be clear, your fear is not of me. Your fear is of yourself. Your fear is of yourself. Speaks the truth of who you are right now. It speaks to who you are in the present. It speaks to how you're truly showing up, how you're truly manifesting what you say you believe, know, and understand in the world. And right now is a time that that's being put through the test. Whether it's with the members of your household, the people that you're hunkering down and sharing space with right now, but it's also showing up virtually. And I've already warned you earlier on in the broadcast how it's showing up virtually in social media. People are going to get in their feelings. People are getting negative. People are getting aggressive. People are calling names. People are being catty and shady, you know, and it has everything to do with who and what you are in the midst of a battle. Because, see, it's real easy to claim faith, to claim belief, to claim power, to claim understanding when you're not up against a challenge. When you're not up against a challenge, when that's not being tested, when that's not being questioned in any way. It's only when what we think we know, what we think we understand, that's tested that we know to what degree we're really good. You can spar. You can work it out in a gym. You can work it out on the field. I use a lot of athletic symbolism for some reason, and I'm really not a sports oriented person. I don't know why that is, but I think it's because some of you who listen to me can make sense of that. You can spar, you can rehearse, you can practice. But it's when you get before that mic, it's when you get in that ring, it's when you get out in that field, it's when you're actively out there at the crossroads that what you say you know and believe stands up. Yeah, you can tell me you don't care what people say about you until you're in that position, until you're backed in that corner, and until you are tested. So many of our spiritual skills are being tested, are being brought to the surface so that we can see clearly, so that we can understand clearly who we are. Who we are. Be still and know who you are. Be still and know who God is and who God is to you. Be still and know who the ancestors are. Be still and know. Thank you so much for your questions, your comments, your requests. Thank you, One Wapani, for participating and being a part of the show. Um, yes, the calm with the storm brewing. He's calm like water. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This is the time. All things happen for a reason. That's why I say all is a blessing. And just because it's universal, it's going to be present after this. We don't know what the political landscape is really going to be like after this. So this is an opportunity for growth. This is an opportunity for change. This is opportunity for development for everybody. But first at the personal level, first this shows up in terms of how does this affect you directly? How does this affect you, your family, your household, your budget, your lifestyle? But this also, come on, phone, sit up straight. This also will show up at the communal level. Churches will change, religious groups will change. Get it together here. And I see we're buffering, so y'all might not even see me moving the camera right now anyway. But yes, Tasha, thank you, Tasha. I hope you weren't offended when I call you Tasha Love. Ever since I met you virtually online, you've been Tasha Love in my mind, in my heart. Your last name might as well be Love. But I appreciate you, Tasha, for showing up, Tasha's Touch, for being a powerful jewelry creator and maker, and for sharing your love and your energy. And Tasha's very consistent with her love and energy. She ain't love and energy right now. Tasha's been love and energy since the beginning. And she shares her challenges over the years. I remember you moving. I remember you relocating. I remember when you did security. You know, I pay attention. Oh yeah, I pay attention. And through all that, Tasha is love. Tasha Love. So I say Tasha Love, Tasha's touch. And when I think of your name, I think love. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for showing up and sharing your energy, sharing your ashe. Come on, y'all. Give me some questions. 15 minutes to get on the phone lines and call me now at area code. Oh, wow. I lost my Blog Talk Radio. I hope I'm still broadcasting. At area code 845-277-9143. Area code 845-277-9143. If you are ready with your question, comment, or request, please press the number 1 on your telephone keypad, and I will be glad to open your mic and bring you into the conversation. I'm going to take a minute and a half, to pray over my water, to chant over my water, to to hydrate my parched throat, and I will be back momentarily. I'm only going to be gone for a minute and 30 seconds. A minute and 30 seconds. All is truly and indeed a blessing. One minute. 1 minute. Yes, 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 indeed. Wow. I see you, Wapani. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Thank you for allowing me to hydrate, for allowing me to get a drink of water, and to be present here for you. I certainly appreciate your time, your love, your support, your commitment to revolutionary hoodoo, New Orleans voodoo secrets and recipes. All is truly and indeed a blessing. I just went and popped my head out of the door, and I got people sitting out in front of my house. I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. I'm not allowing any people into to the space, but they just want to sit and they just want to absorb the energy, and I'm okay with that. I don't sit out there very often anyway, and it'll be scrubbed down before I absolutely do. But I appreciate your support and your showing up here at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time for Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes, with me here on both blogtalkradio.com/the divine prince, and also at my YouTube Live at youtube.com/voodoo tie, VOODOOTYE. You can also call in on my live listen in and call in number, area code 845-277-9143. 845-277-9143. Do press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. I will open your mic, I will unmute you, and I will bring you into the conversation. Wapani, I see your comment. Christopher said, without stress, he doesn't have questions. Your mind, however, is very analytical. Do we create stress by having constant questions, or do we stop questioning when there's no stress? Um, I was hoping you weren't going to ask me that. I don't particularly like, Christopher, the sound of I don't have questions without stress. So let me use my Iana Van Zant therapeutic language. What I hear you asking me or saying is that you experience stress, then you have questions. What I hear you saying is when I'm challenged, when I'm at the crossroads, when I'm under stress, that I then seek spirit, the spiritual meaning to the spiritual message of. If I'm reading what's written correctly, Vapani, I hear and see you writing. I'm analytical. I want to know. And do I create stress by wanting to know? I don't think that creates stress in and of itself. The wanting to know, the wanting to question does not create stress in and of itself. For me, questioning relieves. Questioning gives me an outlet. It gives me something to do, because when you're questioning, you then seek, you then ask, you then do some level of research. I know some of you cannot handle the news right now. On the radio, on TV, in written material, you just can't. It's too much for you to hear. I know some people who claim not to watch the news, generally speaking, even when there isn't sort of a world disaster or calamity taking place, because you can't process that energy. But then there are those like me. um, I'm a Labor Day Virgo, 11:33 p.m. Wapani. I have to know. I need to know. The hearing gives me a sense of peace. The knowing gives me a sense of having something to do, having something to work with, even if it isn't quite peace. Knowing how many people are dying, knowing how many people tested positive, does not in itself give us a state of peace. But for me, it gives me a sense that it's being paid attention to. I can see. Give me a second, beloved. It gives me a sense of it's being paid attention to. It's something's being done, something is being addressed. People are coming together to attack or address the issue. So hearing, knowing, for me, is extremely helpful. It's extremely helpful, and so that might be the case for you. Um, you are Easter Aries 69. You have a very scientific mind. So yeah, it's important for you to ask questions and to seek. Kayla, Kayla. No, Kayla, I don't see. Okay, I see you asking. You want to buy a house next year. Should you hold off due to the current state? No, no. That's the first immediate answer is no, no, not because of the current state, and that's my empathic response. Because the two technically don't go hand in hand. The two don't really uh, connect to each other. They affect each other, um, even in terms of apartment rentals. How people are handling apartment rentals now also is affected by COVID-19. But what you're asking me is about a year out. So Spirit first said, no, those two things don't go together. And now I throw Obiabata, and what I get is three shells up in a very complicated response, which says that there are too many other details that go into that for you to make a decision just based on what's capsulized in your question. You'll be buying a house. It'll be sooner than a year, and you'll be moving sooner than a year. But it has nothing to do with the virus. It has nothing to do with the virus. Just make sure you clean going in there. That's the big thing. You're going to want to clean like never before. Anybody who's going to move in the next year, you want to clean, clean, clean. And if you're moving into housing, into apartments, and you're not ritually cleaning, spiritually cleaning, literally cleaning in the first place, then that's a problem. Clean your shelves, clean the refrigerator, you clean your bathroom, but now you want to clean every nook and cranny in that process. So no, I don't see no, I don't see that the two correlating. One does not necessarily equal the other. Yes, Tasha, I see you. Focus on the healing, beloved, and we need it. We need people who can focus on the healing, not just for themselves, but also for other people. Roland Martin, he's great. I won't lie. I don't watch him a lot. I don't watch him often, but he's great. I like Don Lemon better. Okay, I have some favorite personalities in the media, but I can relate to Roland Martin. Sometimes he falls off for me, but I can relate to Roland Martin. Thank you so much for that. And listen, y'all, I'm gonna be here for about, I don't know, 15 minutes or more, and then I have readings and consultations that I'm booked to do today. I invite you to get on the phone line before you lose your window of opportunity. The Blog Talk Radio platform shuts down the phone lines actually about 15 minutes before the show ends. So if you're already on the phone lines, you will be able to remain on the phone lines, and no matter how long we talk, you'll continue to hear that. Also, I like to play music before the show starts because the show, Blog Talk Radio phone line, actually opens up 15 minutes before noon. And so that 15 minutes before noon, I'm playing music, and Kiona will tell you that. And then after the show ends, typically for about 15 minutes, I also play my favorite songs, my meditative music. Today I'm going to play some meditative music after the show. So get on the phone lines at 845-277-9143. If you have a question, comment, or request, press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. I'll be more than happy to unmute your mic and bring you into the conversation. And of course, if you're in the live chat, type your questions or comments in all capital letters. It makes it easier for myself and Kiona to see your question and then respond to it in a timely manner. I get confused. The chat keeps moving. The chat scrolls up for me. And so I need that extra help from you all, my participants, as well as Kiona, in the chat to sort of make things happen. Denise Augustine, my beloved Denise Augustine, owner and operator of OurSacredStories.com. Our Sacred Stories and House of the Divine Prince work together to provide tour plus experience. Tour plus experience. Denise Augustine is one of our most qualified historians and tour guides in Treme. And together, I bring the cultural element, and together we are OurSacredStories.com. She types in Facebook in response to my, this is not the time to be prejudiced, this is not the time to be biased. She types, Denise Augustine types, or Augustine, depending on who you are, Denise Augustine as, or says, matter of factly, racists don't stop being racist in emergencies. They ramp it up because these people believe they're taking resources, that resources are being taken that they need or that they use or that they should have. I also saw and reposted on the news yesterday and it wasn't tabloid news, it was regular media news. The statement was made by our lead prosecutor here, and the comment was about white supremacists targeting ethnic groups and people that they don't care for with the virus. And so, it alerted me to sort of this shift from, fear, panic, shock, just not believing, that this is happening and what's happening, to people now getting in their feelings and now truly showing up as who and what they are. So yeah, the racists are going to stand up now. The ignorant are going to stand up now. The foolish are going to stand up now. The fraudsters and the perpetrators are going to stand up now more than ever, because we are in a season now that elicits that kind of truth. This standstill, this whole pattern, this stay at home is going to get people in a position where they don't quite have enough to do, don't quite have enough to eat, unfortunately, don't quite have enough of the right minerals and the right vegetables and the right produce. We need walnuts and we need pecans and we need peanut butter for our mental health, in case you didn't know that. We need poly under normal circumstances. Now you're not eating healthily. Now you're under stress. Now you're receiving all this outside energy and vibration from others around us. And so, yes, racism is going to float to the top. Ignorance is going to float to the top. Hateration and backstabbing and people sitting back and feeling some kind of way about others is going to now float to the top. And so this is an opportunity for us to shine, those of us who truly are spiritual, those of us who are truly who and what we say that we are. Thank you so much, beloved media outlet, for responding to me. So I'm going to assume that you also heard what I said before. Okay. This is not the time to be prejudiced. This is not the time to only focus on some people and not all people. I'm one of your top fans. I'm one of your top promoters in social media. Don't ignore me. Don't neglect me. My voice is important in the city of New Orleans. My voice is powerful in the city of New Orleans. My voice is shared in the city of New Orleans. So let's all be peace. Let's all be blessing right now. Let's all be concerned, and let's all share that which is useful, that which is helpful, that which is beneficial, that which elicits peace. And my comments only enlisted peace. My comments only suggested be still, be safe, stay at home. So why would you ignore me? Why would you skip me? Why would you acknowledge everybody in the chat but me? When I'm finished with my show, I'm going to find out who the moderator is for that particular media outlet. You're in my neighborhood. You almost across the street from me. So let's be cool. Let's keep it cool right now and in this present moment in time space, please. Please, all is a blessing. All is a blessing. Please, y'all, hit me with your questions, your comments. When I ain't got nothing to say, I fall off and I start, Okay. So give me something to talk about other than my own stuff. Area code 216. Area code 216. Who's calling and where are you calling from?
Yep. Hi, my name is Tricia. I'm calling from Ohio.
Greetings, beloved. Greetings. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for taking my call. How are you?
All is a blessing. All the blessing that is automatically attached to the curse. The blessing that's automatically attached to the challenge. It's like throwing a boomerang, with aggression and negative force, only to have it then return to you with the positive force, return to you with the blessing. So that was my most honest answer to you right now in this moment. All is a blessing, and I mean that.
All right. I'd like to ask, I'm trying to determine, this is a health matter for me, which a treatment center, a naturopathic healing place, facility is best for me for this chronic condition that I was diagnosed with 2 years ago. I've been researching online and reading about it and reading about the doctors and their education and their experience. One place is in Tijuana, Mexico, and then the other is in there's two others, but okay, the one in Arizona, and I'm trying to determine which one is best for me. And
Okay. Okay.
will those treatments?
Beloved, hold on for a second. Let me respond before you continue, because you said a lot. You probably don't realize you
Okay.
asked more than one question, and while you were doing that, I was
Okay.
interacting with spirit. So let me. And it wasn't quite a question, but you were explaining what you're doing, what you're looking at, and why. And so your first ancestral response was yes. Okay, you're on the right track in terms of seeking another way to address this. You're on the right track. Then, without taking a breath, you went into specific locations. And then I had to quickly readjust and throw shells to get a response about that. So I'm going to skip ahead for clarity. The last place you mentioned, no, absolutely not. Hands down. I can't tell you why. The type of, the form of divination I'm using right now is not that specific. In order to get a much more specific response to that, I would need you to contact me privately and off air. But right now, the second location, no, absolutely not. And the first location, I think you said Mexico or New Mexico, something like that, is a complicated Tijuana. I'm sorry. It's a complicated yes. And what I mean by complicated, that means the spirit is saying yes. They lean towards that, but there's something more that you need to look into, research, handle, be sure of before you commit to that. As an empath, your guides are speaking. First, it's the weather. And when I say weather right now, I'm talking about the virus. First, it's the weather. Everyone is making adjustments. Everyone is changing. Everyone is shifting. Some places, unfortunately, will not be operating in 6 months. Some places, unfortunately, will not be open in a year. And this particular place in Tijuana might be challenged right now, and you don't know that. They might be challenged in the next 90 days, and you don't know that. Now, I'm going to step outside of spirit right now and be personal. I haven't heard a lot from Mexico in the last 3 weeks as it relates to this virus. And I'm a news junkie. I'm in almost every country that's online, that's got newspaper, that's got a broadcast. I'm listening to it, I'm viewing it, I'm reading it. I ain't heard a lot out of Mexico. I'm not saying that that's good or bad. I'm saying that me personally, I have no idea what they're doing there. I don't know how many people have it there. I don't know what the response is there. So as a rat, you need to be clear of the details before you commit to that. Be clear of the details that affected them adversely or negatively. I'm in one of the bullseye, unfortunately, of this virus. New Orleans now leads the world in people who are testing for this virus. So it's a new place. It's a whole nother city for us. It's a new day for us. So as a reader, as a spiritualist, some of you, and I don't mean you specifically, caller, but I have a worldwide audience. I have a global audience. Some of you, the reality that's saying come home to you yet. This ain't really clicked in for you yet. Some of you still don't have stay and order in place. So some of you still don't have your governors, your mayors, your politicians, your community activists telling you that this is a problem. So there are certain people in certain countries and certain states and certain regions who are hearing me and think we making too much of this, thinking this is just a temporary storm, weather, and it's going to pass. This is a big deal, beloved. This is a big deal. So
It is.
you didn't give me any timing, and you don't have to. I'm not asking you to. You didn't say you were considering this now. But often when I do this type of reading, I'm looking at 30 to 90 days. So I don't see you doing this in 90 days. I don't. So you need to take that time
Right.
to research, look into this, be sure about the state of the world, about the state of Mexico, about the state of Tijuana, about the state of travel, all the things that are going to come into play in terms of you doing this. Um, I feel the urgency of your request. You didn't give your diagnosis, but I can feel it. I know you're concerned. I know
Yeah.
timing might be a factor. I know you're not willing to just sit and allow things to sort of naturally take their course. And I applaud you for being proactive in this. But, beloved, you've got to do your homework on this. You got to do your homework on this. And your ancestors were very clear about it. No, Arizona, no, 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 no. Tijuana is a
All right.
possible yes. It's a more probable yes. But you got to be sure things haven't changed. Things haven't shifted. Things aren't different.
Right.
Things are secure. Things are safe before you make that move.
Right. All right. Yeah.
I'm with you
All
in your
right. Well, thank you
listen.
very much.
I'm with you in your endeavors. Please, if you need further information, send me a private email.
All right. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
You as well. All is a blessing.
Thank you.
I welcome anyone who wishes to call me now at area code 845-277-9143. Area code 845, which is a toll free number. It's like an 800 number. 845 277 9143. Do press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. You will be able to speak with me, communicate with me and the audience, ask your questions or comments. Or you may just sit on the phone and listen, because there will be a point where my live audience will stop hearing. The show will then go into archive, and those who are on the phone will still be able to hear what's going on. Everyone else, including newcomers to the platform, will then be able to hear that by listening to the Blog Talk Radio show in its archive format. I'm so grateful for my nephew Christopher and my sister Wapani, and for Kiona and for everybody else who's speaking with me and operating with me in the chat and participating. Wapani is asking a question. My question is already in the timeline. She's not just talking about food, solar for your energy, purification for your water, herbs, barks, and roots for your medicine, and yes, even for your toilet paper. Okay, Wapani, forgive me, beloved. Let me scroll back. Okay, my sister asked, can I ask one more quick question? No one ever has to say that. Can I ask a question? Can it be quick? No one ever has to say that. Um, I've been pushing self-sustainability. Grow your own food. That may not help in the short term, but it gets you off of the system in the long term. Is this wisdom? Absolutely. Absolutely. Some of us were prepared before this happened. Some of us started purchasing certain things, buying certain things, creating certain things, building certain things for this moment, totally separate from COVID-19 itself. So yes, you already have a garden. Sustain that. Keep that going. Increase that. If your fruits and your vegetables and your produce that you're purchasing from your grocery or your farmer's market or from your Whole Foods does not have seeds, it's a hybrid. And it's then not going to produce food for you. So in that case, you need to seek out your Home Depot, your Lowe's, particularly right now. Even your grocery stores, in some cases, right now have fresh herbs, rosemary, mint, stevia, which is a sugar substitute, many other plants. Some of the things that you consider wild, like clover, bee balm, are in bloom right now. Chamomile are in bloom. Learn these plants, acknowledge these plants, build a relationship with these plants. So you have your garden wapani, herbicides. It's the herbicides that I want you to avoid. Stuff that people spray on lawns to make them and keep them, quote unquote, green. So sustainability. Some of you know that I participate in the Water Wise program here in Treme. And so I have two very beautifully painted and decorated voodoo barrels in my backyard that are hooked up to my downspouts from my drainage. Brand new drainage. I paid $600 to have brand new drainage and downspouts put on the back portion of the house. My roof of my house is sort of shaped like this, sort of like a triangle. It's kind of shorter on the front, so my thumb would be like right over my front door, would be like my porch area, if you will. But then the back part is much longer, has a much longer slope to it, and then that feeds into the drain spouts, and the drain spouts have netting over it, so it's not getting leaves and that kind of organic matter. And then each barrel is able to hold 50 gallons of water. So just use your imagination right now and imagine 50 single gallons of water sitting around you at your feet. Now, the problem with that is you can't drink that water. You can water your garden with it. You might add bleach to it, and you can clean with it, but you can't drink it. You can't cook with it. So I put out a plea for filtering, purification. And so I haven't received that yet, but I've had some clients reach out to me that they've already acted on that, moved on that. So just in a matter of days, I'm going to have a video showing you how to then purify that water, clean that water. So then I'll have 100 gallons of drinking water in my back. We'll program in your state, in the state of Missouri. It might already be there, and you might be able to join that program and get sustainable equipment for free to help you store and save water. Some of you might, if you can get into keeping chickens, do so. If you can get into keeping bees and bee honey, do so. This is the opportunity to move these ideas into reality. We must be more sustainable moving forward. We don't know when the next calamity, when the next emergency, when the next weather event is coming. And as I suggested, some of us are a little bit better prepared. Missouri has tornadoes. So Missourians understand going beneath ground, storing food, having a storm shelter, if you will, a storm cellar, if you will. We on the coast, the Gulf Coast, the Southern Coast, the Northeast Coast, the Southeast Coast, we have hurricanes every season. So we learn how to store water, bottled water. We learn how to keep canned goods and dried beans and rice. I got 5 pounds of royal basmati rice. Royal basmati rice from India. You can get that on Whole Foods. You can get that on Amazon.com. by the way, 25 pounds of rice. So sustainability and that which you can grow, that which you harvest. I have citron fruit in my yard. I have bananas in my yard. I'm working on potatoes and sweet potatoes in my yard. That's sustainability. Some of you create and are creative. And so you store copper and silver and minerals and gemstones and certain items that you are now going to have to repurpose for new things as we see how long this season lasts. Let's be clear, we still don't know how long this season your president. I'm not saying don't trust your mayor. I'm not saying don't trust your governors. I'm just saying we can't trust what nobody knows, what science is still trying to figure out. So we don't know how long this season is really. He's talking about April in the country, get moving again in 2 weeks. But a lot of regions in the city have not even begun their 2 weeks. Places like New York City and New Orleans, where we're on a stay home, not exactly a lockdown, but a stay home, we're going to be much quicker to suppress this than some of the areas where you don't even have that yet. Mississippi, you don't even have that yet. So your 2 week hasn't really begun yet. You're going to see numbers rise, death numbers rise, people with the contagion numbers rise before you can even get into a position to say, okay, we're prepared now to sort of move forward with this. So nobody knows how long this is going to last. 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months. I have been suggesting to my clients, because it is protocol in my readings, 30 to 90 days. 30 to 90 days to see movement, to see activity, to see confirmation, to see proof of what we're dealing with, how we need to respond to this. If you can get a goat, keep a goat. And so maybe you're vegan, maybe you're vegetarian, your neighbors might not be. And the value of trading that milk, the value of bartering those eggs in a situation like right now is, listen, I can't go on Walmart grocery right now and buy any eggs. Not a carton, not a half a carton, not 4. No eggs. No eggs. And when eggs are available, when milk is available, 2 hours and then it's gone. So get a goat, get a pig, get some chickens, grow, plant, harvest. And if you live near a natural area, a wild area, learn to harvest what's there, learn to plant and cultivate in the safety of that natural space so that you then have something to go back to later. You then have something to rely on, to count on. Fabric. You might want to store fabric right now. There are paper supplies. Some of you went way overboard on the paper supplies. But there are people in our communities now that are going to be in a position to barter toilet paper. And your stores and your government don't want us doing that. So I'm not suggesting that you do that. That's not an imitation. That's not a suggestion for you, to go out and stack up your basement now with toilet paper so that others and the elderly and the sick can't have access to it. I'm still responding to Rapani's question about sustainability. So typically when I shop, I buy in large quantities. Typically. I was doing that for the last 10 years. Typically, I buy large quantities. I buy more than one. Who buys 1 can of soup? I buy 6 cans. I buy 12 cans. Who buys 1 jar of peanut butter? I buy 2. I buy 4. And if the large sizes are available, I do go for the larger sizes. One of my more favorite sites, shopping sites. And I'm hesitant right now because I'm scared y'all going to overrun it. And then I might have a problem getting what I need. But when I can't get it from Walmart, I go to Jet. And there are things that Walmart has that Jet doesn't have. There are things that Amazon has that Walmart doesn't have. So it's a bit of like a video game for me. Going in these sites, checking in these sites, putting items in your cart, and then one, checking for availability to deliver or ship. And then two, what's the availability of any particular product. So I absolutely support sustainability. I support all that you've done, Wapani, and have shared with me in our private communications in terms of sustainability, what all is going on your land, on your acreage. I applaud you for doing that. Takia Jet, you asked the caller to research DMSO, and I believe she's referencing the caller who was talking about health retreat. Takia also says, now I don't know what the MMS and food grade peroxide therapy. I'm not sure if I missed the original question or what you're referring to with that. But our caller might. So Takia asked the caller to research DMSO and MMS and food grade peroxide therapy. Wapani says lamb's ear, 4 and other researched broadleaf plants for your toilet paper. Yes. Elephant ears. I've got a yard full of elephant ears. However, I do not look for the day that I have to use them for toilet paper. But in the event, yes. And my sister and I, even my spiritual sister wife, Tony Val Martinez, and I,
90 seconds.
we talk about Blog Talk Radio. If you're on the phone lines, you're good. If you want to get on the phone lines, it's too late, because the phones are about to shut down. Tony and I, even before Hurricane Katrina in 2005, spent all summer, for some odd reason, talking about if there was a storm, if there was a calamity, how to cook possum, how to cook rabbit, how to cook raccoon,
60 seconds.
how to capture a pigeon or a dove, and eat it. Even here in Treme, we still got chickens around. I don't know if you would call them feral, though, even though they are sort of on their own. We feed them chicken feed. Some of them eat cat food when you have neighbors that are putting out cat food. But the nature and the wild venison that is about is something that we would have to think about in the context of not being able to access food. I couldn't get ground beef. I went to 4 different sites last night, couldn't get no ground beef. I did find whole chicken, but then I couldn't get a delivery time for the whole chicken. So it's ugly. And if you're listening to me right now, if you're viewing me right now from a region where this hasn't hit you yet, you better get prepared. You would want to get prepared. If I know people, I have a client in Antigua, they got the virus there. So even if you're on an island, the virus is out there. So get prepared. Get prepared. Sustainability is the way to go, with or without a calamity. Sustainability is the way to go. It's the way to think right now. It's the way to think. Kiona, monk fruit sugar. Yeah, that's great too. Agave still can affect your what is it, glycemic index for the diabetic, but it can be a healthier alternative to what I call white cocaine sugar, which will kill you. So I'm grateful for your questions, your comments, your requests. Listen, we've done 2 hours. Please, if you do have questions, if you do have comments, Type them in all capital letters in the chat so that I may see them and respond to them before moving forward with my day. I do have appointments. I have people emailing me right now for appointments. Know that I see you because I got my email open in a tab. I will respond to you. I appreciate you for being active in your work, for being active in the spirit, particularly right now in a time like this. Kayla, I see you. Thank you kindly. I will respond to you in a timely manner. I do have appointments booked up that are waiting for me right now and going into the afternoon. So I will start responding to you all in a matter of hours. And then I plan to work through the weekend. I may even broadcast over the weekend, both here in YouTube Live and Blog Talk Radio. Mickey, Michelle, I look forward to being and seeing with you in a moment. So I am working. Appointments are available. Initiation is available. Ritual work is available. This is the time. Many people are now taking the time to do it now because they can study now. They can sit and read and learn and create shrines and create altars and work with the crystal mineral and stones now because we've been gifted the opportunity to do so. Don't look at this as a negative. That helps and boost your immune system. That helps to boost your layer of protection. Refuse to look at this as a negative. Look at this as time off. Look at this as vacation. Look at this as recreation. Look at this as meditation. Look at this as a time to just be still and be protective. Look at this as a time to just be still and be proactive and create and recreate. So refuse to look at this as a negative and use every opportunity for growth, for change, for maturity, for development, for production, to create. I can't wait to see and to buy and to support and to purchase what all you all are writing and creating and making and producing right now. There are great artisans, great masters right now that are producing work that's going to bring them fame and fortune after this. So refuse to see this as a negative. Refuse to see this as a shutdown, but an opportunity to be still, to be quiet, to be calm, to be prayerful, to be meditative, to be imaginative, to be creative, and then to be proactive with those energies. Kiona, me?
Thank you. Yes, thank you for taking my call.
Please give me your
First, I
question.
want to say I really,
Go ahead.
yes, I love your colors today.
Thank you.
So my question is, I guess like a lot of people right now with this uncertainty on when this thing will pass, I need some confirmation or something to quiet my mind. So the money, I'm a home caretaker. I homeschool my children, and then I take in other children. And I've had to turn my parents away with this going on because I don't want to put my children at risk.
Okay, slow down for me.
I had to take
Takia, slow down for me. I want you to say
yes. Okay.
the part about your parents again.
The part about my parents?
Did I hear you mention your parents?
Oh, no. Okay, so since I take care of children in my home.
Right.
And so those parents, since school is out, I can no longer care for them because of the virus going around.
Yes.
So, even though they would still love for the children to stay and they're willing to pay, I can't risk it. So I take my income cut, $4,000 a month, and that's gone. So, with things being so uncertain, my question is, the money that I do have saved to the side, should I proceed to hold on to it, or there's things that I could invest in? Kiona's an entrepreneur, and I've consulted with her, and there's business opportunities. Should I sit still for a while, or should I just move forward with those endeavors and hope for the best, or
Both.
should I just hold on to what I do have?
Hold on. Both.
Yes.
Both. Now, when I say both, the first thing is hold on to. You have to hold on to. I'm talking about stocking up on food, and people are stocked up on toilet paper. We absolutely have to save and hold on to what you have. I'm concerned about those of us who live disability check to disability check or paycheck to paycheck. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about my acting community, my talent community, who only get paid when we got a gig. And if they not filming no movies, if it ain't no gigs going on, what then do we do? So if you are blessed to have resources and to have some savings, absolutely you want to maintain the mentality of hold on to. Now, having said that, the spirit, because I did throw the shells, and I'm going to throw them again, Obi Abata, for confirmation. They're open to investment. They're open to growth. There's a component to your question that mirrors my sister Wapani's question about sustainability. And that is doing multiple things, doing more than one thing. So in the black community, we like saying, my grandmama used to say, my mama used to say, jack of all trade, master of none. I've never liked that saying. I re-speak that saying, jack of all trades, master of all. We must master all that we do. So if you're creative, do that. If you're a writer, do that. If you're good with numbers, do that. If you can afford to invest in real estate or some other arena, do that. I'm strongly against putting your eggs in one basket, and particularly now. So when I hear you say hold on and stay in my position, that sounds good, but I don't want you to not be proactive while you hold on and you stay in your position. Child care providers, you're in a tough position. You're in a tough position. I get that. I know some people right now who are stuck with the child care provider and are not going home to the parents. This one particular child care provider has about half of the children she would normally have, but they live with her now for at least a month until this passes over. There are people that want to...
And that's what I would prefer.
Go ahead.
That's what I would prefer, if these parents would agree to keeping them in the home, because I don't vaccinate. I've always homeschooled my children. So these parents, they are into vaccinating, and, I'm into homeopathic and, home remedies. So one of the children, right before, the schools were closed, was so sick. I can't tell you he didn't have something going on. But, I wanted to have cured him.
Yeah.
I was giving him what's that, nebulizer machine?
Yes.
With colloidal silver. I was putting fluoride peroxide in it, a little bit of DMSO, MMS, and he went home fine. This baby was barely breathing.
Wow, and I hear you.
And then another child.
Listen, I hear you. So and now you're counting days. And now you're counting days.
Right.
For yourself, for your children. Well, when was the last time this child was here? When's the last time I made contact, at this particular person? I get that. I do. So I applaud you. I think you've made the right decision. I think you've made the only decision that could be made. The only option would have been, as one of my family members has done, to either keep the children with you that the parents agreed to allow to
Yes.
stay with you, for 3 weeks or whatever, or for the parents to get on
Mm-hmm.
board and agree to stay home with their children. And some employed individuals can't do that, or feel they can't do that. I know some employers who created an environment where some people felt they couldn't. So I have clients and friends and family who've literally quit their jobs in the last week. Now, that's not to say that they won't get their job back. That's not to say that the company or the hotel or the restaurant gets it, and then will assist them during this downtime, and then will bring them back. We know, we've heard of businesses who've had to lay off, who are already planning to rehire, that employee base first before they take on new people. But everybody's not there yet. Mississippi ain't there yet. I hate to pick on Mississippi, but your governor is just a hot mess. A hot mess. And he still hasn't shut down that state. People are still acting like everything is fine in that state. There are a lot of people who have retired to Mississippi. I have cousins and family members, 65 and over, who left Chicago, left Detroit, left St. Louis, left New York, and went to relocated to Mississippi. So there are a lot of people of
Mm-hmm.
age there. And so, depending on where you are, depending on the mentality of your peer group, you have to make adjustments for you and your
Mm-hmm.
children. And they may not see it right now, but you've made
Mm-hmm.
adjustments for those parents as well, because you may be
Mm-hmm.
available for them again. Whereas some of these other, you know, will not be available. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Right.
People are going to get sick.
Absolutely.
People, I was trying not to say people are going to get sick. People are going to die.
Yes.
Some of those people will be young.
Absolutely.
We had a 17-year-old die yesterday.
Absolutely.
17. So you're doing the right thing, beloved.
Absolutely.
You're doing the right
Yes.
thing.
And I like to call myself a conspiracy theorist. And I was like, maybe this is one of those, we're so used to these government psyops and agendas and hopes that, we dismiss, well, for me, I dismiss a lot of things that I see in the media. And my cousin's a teacher in New York, and Bronx, New York. I'm in New Jersey, and she called me the other day, and she said one of the male staff on her job, he took him home to his wife.
Oh,
His wife died, and she knows her. So she's saying around her personally, within the school system, teachers are really dying, or they're taking it home to their family.
and nurses.
So it is something to keep curious for those like myself that were on the fence of, well, they're pushing an agenda, this is political, this is, no, people take it serious.
Yeah, that we get the flu every year. This ain't the every year flu. That's not what this
Yes,
is.
it's not.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah, so you're
No.
doing the right thing. You're right on the money. But in terms of your career, um, I would absolutely invest in the future. And I'm suggesting
Okay.
that for all of my clients, but you shall speak that for you specifically. Invest in the future. So continue your education, get your certifications, get your licenses,
Yes,
learn
thank
this new
you. Thank
information.
you.
Start these new businesses, because you will be a part of that group
Okay.
that I've already predicted will be extremely successful on the back end of this. And absolutely commit
Thank you.
to spiritual pursuits, um, initiations, ritual work, readings and divination. That would be the second thing. While you're feeding your goals of entrepreneurship and self employment and business, feed your spirit at the same time. Feed your spirit at the same time. They say statistically, most businesses won't survive the first year because of finances, because of the learning curve. what you have to learn about your business. I know a lot of people think psychic reading online, is real easy, and all I have to do is sign up and get on this site. And then you get on these sites like Keen and Live Person and Psychic World, and within the first 30 days, 5 of the readers have jumped on the bandwagon and have given you 1 star or have given you negative ratings in order to stop your progress, in order to discourage you, in order to slow you down. So I see many of them fall off, fall by the wayside, give up on that. Don't try to do that. So you're doing the right thing. Anybody in the sound of my voice, you've got to call on spirit right now. You got to be whole. You've got to be healthy, but from the inside out, literally and figuratively, and you'll be fine.
And one last thing, if you could just say whatever comes to mind. How do I get over myself? I want to have a social media presence, and I feel like I know so much about healing and health, and I just can't get with the online thing. I don't know. How do I get over myself?
Now, I'm looking at Ogunda. Not Shango, forgive me. Ogu stands up in Ogunda. Ogunda is about the foundation, the building blocks, the framework in which we build or create ourselves, life, as well as your business and career pursuits. Ogunda is about technology. Ogu does govern technology. Now, when Ogu shows up in a ceremony, in a ritual, when he possesses, he often does not speak. He grunts, he makes noises. He sort of represents humanity, at its most natural form, at its most uncivilized and unincorporated form. But I view that as natural. Natural. We speak before we open our mouth. We speak by the energy we project. We speak sometimes on our face. We speak with our body language. We speak long before we actually open our mouth. So be careful what you say. And I heard you catch yourself even as you were giving your question. Be careful what you say. Be careful about reasserting negative isms about yourself. What I hear.
People will receive me. Okay.
So let me be clear. What I hear you saying is not that I'm having problems with the technology as it relates to social media.
I like to blame it on being shy or being introverted or being private, but I just can't turn it on and do it. So I make excuses for why. I'm protecting my children, or I don't know.
You're describing me. Now, I don't have children. I'm not concerned about, protecting my family. I'm not concerned about saying something on air my mama wouldn't like. My mama listened to this show.
Okay.
My sister Wapani, that's my blood sister. One Wapani is my blood sister, and we share a parent. So, but where I connect to what you're saying, and Wapani would confirm this for you, I'm not as social as what I look like on camera. I have Asperger's. And I'm assuming as a daycare professional, you understand what that is. That's an adult form of autism.
Absolutely, have a best friend. Yeah.
So I don't look at people in the face a lot. I don't like to look people in their eyes a lot.
Okay.
Often when I'm talking, even when I'm doing a reading, I'm out here. I'm out here, and then I'm hearing spirit. So I'm listening at the same time. I'm articulate. I'm gifted in being articulate. English was one of my better subjects in school. I have a mother who's a retired educator. So those skills were programmed, were taught in me to sort of overcome my social and personal limitation. I don't have a lot of friends. A lot of people find me odd. A lot of people find me weird. A lot of people don't quite understand what I'm doing or what I'm representing. So what you're seeing right now takes effort, takes a great deal of work. It also takes a certain amount of, I don't want to say I don't care, but not caring enough about the opinion to take it inside. Discern the opinion. Discern the opinion. I don't like what you got on. That's ugly. I let that pass me. I don't take that in. Where you're a gay voodoo priest, where you're black, I don't take that in. I couldn't hear you clearly. That I take in. You didn't look happy. That I take in. Something is those type of output I take in. But that selfish stuff, that first chakra stuff, that ego stuff, don't take that in from yourself or from other people. So I don't judge myself about shaving or not shaving. I don't judge myself about whether I have all my teeth in or not. I've had people make comments about that. What does that matter if I'm offering truth?
Yes, sir.
If I'm offering healing?
Absolutely.
If I'm offering empowerment? Practice. Video. 30-second video. Share your opinion.
Yes.
Share your opinion a little bit more in writing before you show your face. Take pictures. Don't jump right into video. Share your opinion, share your comment, take a picture of yourself, of your product you're discussing, of something that symbolizes what you're feeling, what you're representing. And then be open. Be open. Because once you open yourself up, you are open. Once it's online, once it's on TV, once it's on the radio, once it's out in the air, everybody in the world has an opportunity to respond to it. And that is part of the angst of not only being online, but just dealing with the internet at all. People like to come through and say negative things just because they can. Just because that's where they are. Just because that's what they're sitting in. So they'll look at what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're projecting, and feel some kind of way about it, and then regurgitate that back in a negative way.
Okay.
In a negative way. So you can internalize that. If I responded to every negative, if every piece of hate mail, every negative tweet that I got, I wouldn't be online either. So I've had to learn who to block. And listen, I don't block everybody. I only block the most egregious. I only block the most egregious and those who might hurt other people. Because you're not hurting me, but then you might hurt other people. So I block those people. But I will mute you.
Okay.
I will mute you.
That's right.
Literally and figuratively. I will look at you and not respond. And that's why I made that comment earlier. I got a lot of people who watch this show every day, never have followed me, never have clicked like, but I can see you. Thank you, Block Talk Radio. But I can see you, So you're going to have supporters. We had the truck driver, beloved, forgive me for not remembering your name. Let me scroll up and see if I can find your name. We had a Hoodoo occultism called in earlier today. And we sort of talked about, I think he said it yesterday, about not knowing who's listening to the show, not knowing who's going to go back and read the chat. Do you all understand that after the show has ended, total strangers will then be able to go back and just read who you're affecting, how you're affecting. You never know. So it's contingent on us to be authentic 24 hours a day. Even when we think people aren't looking, even when we think people aren't watching. It's one thing to make a post, a blog post, an Instagram post, whatever, but it's another thing to sort of live in your truth 24 hours a day. And that's where I focus my energy. No, it's not about me. It's not about competitiveness in Instagram, competitiveness in YouTube. I love T.S. Madison. T.S. Madison is rolling. There's very few things T.S. Madison can post that ain't going to get 100,000 likes. I don't get in my feelings about that. We in two completely different lanes. T.S. Madison is bouncing his titties. I'm bouncing your consciousness. I'm
That's
bouncing your
right.
head. And then that is going to affect your children, your grandchildren, your families, your co-workers. So I don't get in my feelings. I'm speaking right to your heart, right to your mind. And you don't have to respond. You don't have to like me. You don't have to understand what all is a blessing mean. You don't have to embrace what respect the voodoo means. That is not my responsibility. What you think is not my responsibility. My responsibility is to do my job and to carry forward my message to the best of my ability so that it does reach people like you and like others that are going to hear your posts, read your posts, absorb your message. And many clients come back to me. I've been following you for 5 years, 10 years. Now my flesh feels some kind of way about that. You've been following me quietly for 10 years. But my spirit man just rejoices in that. Does not see that as a negative because it means you've been sitting at my table eating my food and I've been feeding your nourishment. And so for that, God is keeping count of that. The goddess is keeping count of that. The ancestors are keeping count of that. I don't expect the acknowledgement. I don't expect the reward. You know, I'm pausing because I'm trying to be diplomatic about what I'm about to say next. For example,
And I appreciate you. I appreciate your response, your energy, and I'm gonna pay it forward as I try to, and PayPal. I'm gonna,
I appreciate that.
But I appreciate it.
I do. So I'm not that concerned about people's negative responses.
But this energy exchange, I mean, you're giving your energy, you know?
Right. Right. And energy is life, And when we look at the yin and yang, it requires balance. So part of that swirl is white, the other half of that swirl is black. But then individually in each half of that swirl is that little circle of the opposite color. So we have to absorb that energy, but do something with it. Don't absorb it and let it harm you. Let it chip at you. Take from it what's useful to you. Take from it what's beneficial to you. I've had people say some crazy stuff to me, like 15 minutes before I come on air, and it has changed the entire broadcast. Sometimes I wake up in the morning just like normal people, and I don't want to go to work. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to deal with people's problems and issues. I don't want to have to be responsive all day, but I do so. And then you add doing this broadcast to that. Having to get on camera, smile, be positive, have something to say for a length of time. 15 minutes before I get in the show, someone says something to me. Someone posts something in social media, negative or positive, that completely fuels what I come out with when I open up the broadcast. So I've learned to take even the negative. I've learned to accept even the negative for my good, not for my harm, for my good. And sometimes the negative says,
only a sound mind can do that.
That's right. And sometimes the negative from people means, man, you're hitting it. Man, you're on point. Man, you're reaching out to people, and there's a certain segment of your audience that don't like that. And so they respond in the negative. And they always pick crazy stuff. My teeth, what I look like. It's never what I'm teaching. It's never my material. In the early years of Blog Talk Radio, when all we did was get on here and battle. Queenie Fama, Tasha, you remember that when the various show, all they did was battle. Talk about who was authentic, who wasn't authentic, who was truly initiated, who wasn't. And that died down over time as the Orisha romance grew and people began to truly educate themselves about Orisha, Some of them even took it a step further and absolutely initiated. And so that chatter has died down. But it shows up now in just hatred, in just not choosing to acknowledge you, in dropping you on Twitter, dropping you on Instagram, because they don't want to see or hear or receive your message. You got to grow a thick skin to that. You do. You do. And you have it in you. You do. Much like you would want to teach and demonstrate it to your children. How do you handle bullying when you discuss that with your children? How do you handle the idea that, baby, you're going to go to school and Sally's going to call you a bad name? Or Mark is going to call you black? Or worse, call you nigger? It's a very similar thing to that. So now in social media, we're sharing our opinions, we're sharing our thoughts. Those of us who do share our thoughts and our opinions. Some people just share and reshare everybody else's stuff. And I see that as a mask. You share everybody else's post, but you never share your opinion about the post. And that's what you're asking me now. How do I get out of my shell? How do I stand in my truth? With people looking at me, with the world looking at me. Just be, beloved. Just be. I like what you say. I like what you type in the chat. Seeing your face is just would be just one extra element to that. So I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you.
Thank you.
Please, if you have a question, comment, or request.
All right. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. Thank you. Please type it in all capital letters in the chat, and I'll respond to you. Of course, if you're on the phone lines already, just press the number 1. Kiona, your mic is open. Greetings, beloved.
Hello. How are you?
All is a blessing. And I mean that with sincerity.
No, I just wanted to make a comment. The gentleman earlier, he had asked me for my social media, and I didn't want him to think that I was ignoring him or anyone that ever wants to reach out to me regarding business. But my intentions on coming on here is to support this channel and the movement, and so I don't want to be a distraction, in the comments by taking away from this platform to bring any attention to me, because that's not my intention. So I didn't want him to think that I was trying to be rude, but my intentions are very clear. I stop my work day every day. I stop my life to do this because I'm committed to it, and I'm not using this or on here as a plug because, they can always message me offline, but when I'm on here, I'm strictly about this business. And so I didn't want anybody to think that I was trying to be rude in the comments earlier.
And I appreciate that. I really do. As you know, people come to these spaces for whatever agenda. And the agendas don't always match the moderator's agenda or the administrator of the show's agenda or the show host's agenda. Some people are coming here just to connect with you. Some people are coming here. Okay, let me set an example. Remember when we were talking about people stealing my image and using my image on Instagram in order to capture other people? And so they're following you on Instagram, they're following you on YouTube so that they can then reach out to my listeners. Some of y'all don't give a care about me. Some of y'all don't like me. Some of y'all are here listening, but you're not here for the righteous agenda. And so Kiona is trying to limit that. We don't have a problem with everyone interacting. We don't have a problem with all of you all joining my Twitter, joining my Facebook, if I can make a seat for you, joining Kiona's social media. We don't have a problem with that. We just don't want it to be a distraction. So I know that people get together, because they do that in the real world, get together and talk and gossip and share information and promote the negative and the positive. But as Kiona said, that's separate from what we're doing here. That's separate from what I'm offering here in this space. And if I haven't made it clear already, what I'm offering to you here is unique. Is unique because I'm too busy either doing the work, and when I'm not doing the work in my own downtime, I'm doing my own work. So I don't sit around a lot and chat. I don't sit around a lot and discuss. I don't sit around a lot and talk about the things that are curious to people and motivate people in the way that I do on this show. So I offer you to use me in that way. Ask your questions, ask your comments, get clarity about ATR, get clarity about these traditions, get clarity about what voodoo really is and is not. Help me to dispel the lies and the illusions and the Hollywood creations about what voodoo is. Let's be clear about what's entertainment, what's creative, versus what this tradition really is. I'm going to have to move forward. I have an appointment coming shortly. So I am going to have to end the show so that I can eat something, hydrate before I move into my appointment after the show. Kiona, I certainly do appreciate you for all of your help and support and assistance in the chat. I also appreciate you for asking questions and helping to keep the show moving forward. Greetings to everyone. Keisha Smith, Seven the Gentleman, Kayla Talk, who else? Wapani, my sister One Wapani, Christopher, who was virtually with us in the chat. I certainly appreciate each and every one of you. Takia Jet, those whose names I might have missed or skipped. It wasn't intentional. Please forgive me. Our truck drivers, we certainly appreciate you, and who has actively participated in the show. I pray I haven't missed any questions. I pray I haven't missed any comments which require me to respond. Have I missed anything, beloved?
No, you addressed everything.
Okay. All is truly and indeed a blessing.
I'm just excited. I cannot wait for April the 1st. I'm excited. I cannot wait. Hopefully we get to link up tomorrow. Yeah, I'm really liking this new business venture. I have a fellow entrepreneur who's doing it, and she's making about 10K a week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Give thanks. Yeah, give thanks. I see you.
Like I need some of that.
Okay, yeah. Well, no, it's not that. No, it's not that at all. Just you gave a commercial, and then you throw out a dollar amount, and so yeah, people are going to want to know what does she do. People are going to want your contact.
I'm sorry.
People are going to want your contact information, and so
that was all the way out of pocket. Please forgive me.
So that's all I said is I see you. Can you see me in the camera? I see you.
No.
Okay.
No. That wasn't right. That wasn't right. I'm talking to you like we're on a personal call, and yeah, I digress. That's not what I meant.
Listen, I'm guilty of that. For people who are not on the phone lines doing the Blog Talk Radio, I'm guilty of that. I will end the show and will forget and leave my mic open. And I turn the TV on, I get on the phone.
I wasn't even on YouTube anymore. I'm just talking to you like we on a personal call. Like I just went off on something else.
Yeah, I do that. Thank you all for listening and for participating.
You had to bring me back because I was gone.
Thank you, Kiona. I appreciate you. I'm going to end the show. I'm going to move forward. Blog Talk Radio is only going to allow me to play about 5 minutes worth of music. So I'm going to play Congo Square. For those of you who know, Congo Square was written, produced, performed by Kalamu Ya Salam, local legendary poet, griot here in the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Until next time. Ashe. Ashe, oh, Ashe. And aye, Bobo.
Congo Square. The Omas Indians
Yes.
The Omas Indians prepared this place for us.
And I own
Centuries
copyright
before our arrival.
to use this.
A sacred
So don't
spot
play around
where
with my
corn
video,
festivals
YouTube.
were celebrated.
I have rights and permission, written rights and permission to use this song.
This place.
So don't play around with my video, YouTube. Don't play around with my
Before
video.
our arrival. Congo Square, a sacred spot where corn festivals were celebrated. And as the colonizers came, our hosts, the Omas Indians, they pushed aside our hosts. The colonizers came and pushed aside our hosts and introduced us in